He never said much, just fixed what was broken and disappeared before anyone could thank him. The young mechanics at the garage thought he was just another old-timer trying to make ends meet, working nights for half pay. But when the engine seized on the sheriff's patrol car during a high-speed chase and 3 lives hung in the balance, the quiet mechanic did something that made everyone freeze. He opened the hood, looked inside for exactly 10 seconds, and said 4 words that changed everything. "I've seen this before. Welcome to the human stories." Before we begin this powerful story of hidden expertise and quiet heroism, tell me in the comments from which city are you watching this video today. And if you believe that true skill doesn't need to announce itself, hit that subscribe button and help us honor those who work in silence. The Riverside Auto Repair Shop sat on the edge of town, wedged between a 24-hour diner and a used tire lot. It wasn't fancy, just 3 service bays, a small office, and the smell of motor oil that never quite left your clothes. Most days it was quiet, handling routine work for locals who couldn't afford the dealership prices downtown. The night shift was different, quieter. That's when the real work got done. The emergency calls, the tow-ins, the vehicles that couldn't wait until morning. And that's when he worked. Nobody knew his first name. The work orders just said R. Hayes, night mechanic, hired 6 months ago through a temp agency. He showed up at 10 p.m. sharp, worked alone until 6 a.m., and left before the day crew arrived. The owner, Mike Thompson, had hired him sight unseen after his regular night guy quit without notice. References checked out, Mike had told his day crew. Former military, keeps to himself, gets the job done. The younger mechanics, Danny, Carlos, and Jake, barely saw him except for the handwritten notes he'd leave on completed jobs. Clean handwriting, technical details they sometimes had to look up, work that was always perfect. No shortcuts, no quick fixes, just methodical precision that made their morning inspections unnecessary. Hayes was probably in his 60s, they figured. Average height, gray beard, wearing the same navy blue coveralls every night. He drove an old Ford pickup that looked like it had seen better decades, but ran quieter than most new cars. He brought his own tools in a battered red toolbox that weighed more than it should have. "Guy's probably been fixing cars since before we were born," Danny had joked once. "Old school, you know." But there were things about Hayes that didn't quite fit the old-timer mechanic profile. His toolbox, for instance. Sure, it was beat up on the outside, but the tools inside were immaculate, organized with military precision, some of them specialized equipment the younger guys had never seen. And the way he moved around engines wasn't like someone who'd learned in a community college program. It was systematic, methodical, like he was following a protocol burned into memory. He never used the radio while working, never had a phone visible. Just worked in complete silence, occasionally referring to a small notebook he kept in his chest pocket. The kind of silence that felt purposeful, not lonely. The first time anyone really noticed something unusual was during a late-night emergency call. A semi-truck had broken down on Interstate 40, blocking the right lane during a thunderstorm. Highway patrol needed it moved fast, but the regular tow services were swamped. Mike got the call at home and reluctantly agreed to send Hayes out with the heavy-duty wrecker. Danny happened to be at the shop picking up his wallet he'd forgotten when Hayes returned 3 hours later. The semi was running smooth, following Hayes back to the yard. But what caught Danny's attention was Hayes himself. Not a drop of rain on him despite the storm, coveralls still clean, moving with the same calm precision he always had. "How'd you stay dry out there?" Danny asked. Hayes glanced at him, the first direct eye contact Danny could remember. "You learn to work fast when you have to." The truck driver, a guy named Pete who'd been hauling freight for 20 years, climbed down from his cab, shaking his head. "Never seen anything like it," he told Danny. "Guy diagnosed the problem in 30 seconds, had parts in his truck I didn't know existed, and fixed it like he'd done that exact repair 1,000 times. Hayes was already walking away, toolbox in hand, but Pete called after him. "Hey, where'd you learn to work on diesel engines like that?" Hayes paused at his truck door. "You pick things up." That was it. No elaboration, no war stories, no bragging, just you pick things up, and then he was gone. Word started spreading quietly through the local automotive community. The night mechanic at Riverside could fix anything. Didn't matter if it was a 1960s muscle car, a modern hybrid, or a piece of heavy machinery. Hayes approached each job with the same systematic method and somehow always had the right tools. Rodriguez caught up with the pursuit 15 minutes later. The stolen vehicle had been boxed in by other units, suspects in custody, no shots fired. A clean arrest that wouldn't have happened if he'd been stuck on the roadside with a dead engine. But as he wrote his report later that night, Rodriguez kept thinking about the mechanic, the way he'd worked, the specific time frame, the parts that happened to be available, the techniques that looked more like field repair than civilian mechanics. The next morning, Rodriguez stopped by the shop during day shift hours. He found Mike in the office and asked casually, "Your night mechanic Hayes, what's his background?" Mike looked up from his paperwork. "Why?" "Just curious. Guy fixed my patrol car last night under pressure. Worked like he'd done it before." "Done what before?" "Emergency repair, combat conditions." Mike was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled out Hayes's employment file, thin as it was. "References all military, Navy, I think, but that's all I know." Rodriguez studied the single sheet of paper. Hayes R. No first name listed. Previous employment, various mechanical positions. References, 3 phone numbers, all disconnected now. Emergency contact, none listed. "Ever see him during the day?" Rodriguez asked. "Never. Shows up at 10, gone by 6, works alone, prefers it that way." Rodriguez nodded, but something was bothering him. That level of expertise, that precision under pressure, the way Hayes had approached the repair like he was following a specific protocol, it reminded him of something. Or someone. That afternoon, Rodriguez found himself at the public library, using their computer to search military databases he had access to through his law enforcement credentials. He wasn't looking for anything specific, just curious. Hayes was a common enough name. Too common, but combined with the technical expertise, the age range, the methodical approach to problems under pressure, he found it buried in a declassified Navy report from 1987. Diesel engine repair, emergency conditions, USS Constellation. Chief Petty Officer Robert Hayes, Naval Special Warfare Development Group. Commendation for extraordinary technical expertise under combat conditions. Naval Special Warfare Development Group. Rodriguez knew that designation. It was the formal name for SEAL Team 6. Rodriguez stared at the screen. The dates worked. The technical skills matched. The calm under pressure, the precise time frames, the way Hayes had approached that engine repair like he'd done it 100 times before, because he probably had. On ships in hostile waters, when 12 minutes really was the difference between going home and not going home. Rodriguez printed the report and drove back to Riverside Auto Repair. It was 9:45 p.m., 15 minutes before Hayes's shift started. He parked across the street and waited. At exactly 10 p.m., the old Ford pickup pulled into the lot. Hayes got out, toolbox in hand, and walked toward the garage. Same routine, same precision, same quiet efficiency. But now Rodriguez understood why. He watched Hayes disappear into the garage, and for the first time since the previous night, he smiled. The stolen car chase, the engine repair, the perfect timing. It all made sense now. The quiet mechanic wasn't just good at his job. He was one of the most elite technical specialists the military had ever produced, still working in the shadows, still solving problems that others couldn't handle, still making the difference between success and failure, still serving, just in a different uniform. Rodriguez started his patrol car and drove away, leaving Hayes to his work. Some stories, he realized, were meant to stay quiet. But the next week, when another emergency call came through, this time a fire truck with a seized engine blocking access to a house fire, Rodriguez made sure the dispatcher knew exactly who to call. "Send it to Riverside," he said. "Ask for Hayes and tell him he's got 15 minutes." Because sometimes the most important work happens in the dark, done by people who never ask for credit, never need recognition, never tell their stories. They just fix what's broken and disappear before anyone can thank them. But now, Rodriguez knew. And he'd make sure that when the next impossible repair job came along, the right man was ready. Hayes never knew that his cover had been blown, never knew that Rodriguez had figured out who he really was. He just kept showing up at 10 p.m., fixing what was broken, and leaving before anyone could ask questions. Because that's what you do when your job was once saving lives in the most dangerous places on Earth. And now it's saving lives in a small-town garage. The mission changes, the dedication doesn't. Some heroes wear uniforms, others wear coveralls. But they all share one thing. When the moment comes, when lives hang in the balance, when 12 minutes is all you have, they get the job done. So I ask you, have you ever met someone like Hayes? Someone whose quiet competence hinted at a bigger story? Someone who solved impossible problems with calm precision and never asked for credit? Share their story in the comments. Tell us about the quiet heroes in your life who work in the shadows, fix what's broken, and disappear before anyone can thank them. Because here at the Human Stories, we believe that the most powerful service often comes without fanfare, without recognition, without any expectation of gratitude. Just the satisfaction of a job well done and a life well lived. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, subscribe and share it. Help us honor the quiet heroes who make our world work, one repair at a time. And the next time you meet a mechanic, a janitor, a security guard, or anyone else working quietly in the background, remember, you might be looking at someone who once saved the world, now saving your day. We'll see you in the next story.